Hello, my name is Arthur, and in this video we're going to play around a bit in the Godot game engine, and what we're going to do is we're going to make an asset for a 2D isometric tile map. So we'll start up by bringing in a scene with a tile map. We'll set it to isometric, and we'll make our cell size for 256 by 128. And that's the standard 2:1 ratio for the isometric map. So we'll go over into GIMP and we'll make a new file. We're going to start off at a size of 256 by 136. And what 136 is the 128 tile size plus 8 for the thickness of the tile. Now we have to add a transparency layer or an alpha channel. We're going to show the grid, snap to the grid, and configure the grid for our tile size. So we're going to configure it at 64 by 64 pixels. And that'll give us the math to cut a tile out of our canvas. So we'll use the free select tool, which is in Tools, Selection Tools, Free Select. And we'll cut out the diamond shape for the tile. And what we're selecting here is the exact tile size. This is 128 tall plus the 8 for the thickness is there, and then 256 wide. So we'll invert that selection, Control I and Control X to cut it out, and we're going to just save this as it is into Godot. And what that'll do is it'll give us the ability to experiment. So I'll just give it the name ground PNG. I'm already navigated to my Godot assets file, so I'll export that into there. And we'll have a look at what we got in Godot. So we'll make a new tile set and create a tile from this tile. New single tile. Now I've been playing around, so my grid spacing here has already been changed. Once you make a selection, the options will pop up and you can change the step. I've reduced the step to 8 to be able to select the thickness of the tile in the future when we add that to it. So we'll just select the tile and we'll go that one extra grid spacing below the tile to represent its thickness. Now we'll be able to fill in and have a look at what we've got. So we'll just fill in a little bit of area here. We'll go into Node 2D, and that makes the grid disappear. You see you have an orange grid everywhere, and that makes it confusing to be able to see your result. Now you can see in the result here that we do not have complete coverage. We have jagged lines. So we need to expand the size of the tile that we've started working on. Now before we do that, we want to check our import settings. So we're going to look at our ground tiles import settings, and we want to turn off filter because we don't want it to change pixels around and stuff. So we'll re-import that without filtering. And you can see immediately there's a large difference in the amount of space in between tiles. You can also tell by looking at it that it appears that the space may be actually limited to one side of the tile. So we can experiment with that and have a look at our results. First off, let's clear the selection, Clear Shift A, select none, and have a closer look at what our actual result is here. Now we have a space here, that's a little awkward, and we have a space here. So I'm not sure how those spaces came into being. But that could be the reason for our jagged lines here. Now, let me just think about that. If we had a space on one edge, it may account for all of these lines. So we're going to experiment with that. I've never quite worked out exactly where the size is wrong, but we'll come pretty close here. So what we're going to want to do is use the Paths tool. Let's change our background to our foreground color. And zoom back so we can see the whole tile. And let's try adding to this bottom here. Let's have a look and measure the top. Yeah, there's a difference between the top and the bottom. The top seems to have more pixels than the bottom does. That's probably just a characteristic of the fill option. Because the fill option, well, it can have that 1 pixel offset for some reason. And I've noticed that before in filling objects or stroking objects, that one side, the stroke line would be outside the line by a little bit. And I'm not sure exactly why that happens. It just does. So we're going to stroke that path 1 pixel with a solid color. With that added in, we'll export to ground PNG. It will just overwrite the other file. And the change will be immediately apparent. So zooming in and out, we still have a disturbing line there. We're gonna just have a look there and have a look here. Okay, so I think our best choice at this point would be to stroke a line along the top of the image as well. So we'll stroke a path there. All the same options. We'll export it again. So we'll export that to ground PNG. Again, it'll be overwritten and imported immediately. Okay, we don't have any weirdness on the outside. That has seriously reduced the amount of jagged edge, but I'm still seeing a jagged edge. That jagged edge is along this line here, I believe. And we'll just look to see if we can see a reason for that. Now visually I can't see a reason for that to be happening. Oh, that was a bad mistake. We'll just draw a new path here. We're going to draw a path on this one side. And this time, instead of stroking 1 pixel, we're going to increase that to 2 pixels and stroke that. We'll export this one final time, and I'm pretty sure that should have it beat. That should fill in the tile exactly now. I think I caught a slight glimpse of a space there. And as we're expanding out, we may start seeing events happen along these edges. Now typically these edges will be out of the game view and not hyper important. But looking at that, that is the size of the tile now. And that's pretty much what I've had to go through to be able to make the tile without any lines in between them. So we'll come back in another video and we'll look at how to put something onto the tile and how to create the set of 16 pathway tiles and give the tile some volume. So until then, take care.